officially live. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome to Keystone Cold Cases. Chelsea will be joining us later, but we're going to be talking about the Kouri Richins case tonight, which is a super crazy case. I don't know if everyone's heard of it, but if you haven't heard of it, where have you been? It has been all over the news and just had a trial and everything, so it's a super interesting case to talk about tonight. But we'll be deep diving into one of the most bizarre, heartbreaking cases to hit Utah, the case of Kouri Richins. This isn't just a murder story, it's a story of alleged betrayal, a dose of fentanyl hidden in a cocktail, millions in life insurance and real estate deals, and a children's book about coping with grief that now feels chillingly ironic. If you're new here, we cover cases that start cold, hidden, or overlooked before the truth freezes over. But this one thawed fast into a full-blown trial. And let's break it down step by step.
And Kate, before you get into the story, I just want to thank you for all the research you did on this. I know you've been following her for a while, but putting everything together for this episode, we really appreciate it. And just want to let everybody else know that, when we do our research, we do our best to research everything thoroughly. But we can't take responsibility for any errors or inaccuracies in our source materials. But we do put all of our source materials on the website, so you can always check them out.
Yep. So let's go into the background of Kouri Richins. Now 35, a mom of 3 young boys living in an upscale home in Park City, Utah. Think ski resorts, luxury, and that picture perfect family vibe. Her husband, Eric Richins, a 39-year-old successful real estate investor and contractor. They've been married for about 9 years. They met around 2009. She was actually working at a Home Depot, and this is what I've heard on podcasts and stuff, that he thought she was cute and finally mustered up the courage to ask her for her phone number. And shortly after, in June 15th, 2013, they got married in a backyard wedding. By the time of Eric's death, they had 3 children under the age of 11, so young kids. From what I've read, they did have a prenup when they first got married, but I imagine that doesn't account for the time they were, when they were married. She'd probably, say if they got a divorce, she'd probably be able to get money from when they weren't married, but this was, the money he made before they were married. So, what pulled you into the Kouri Richins case, besides me, anyway?
Well, I'll just say that we have a chat within the podcast, and Kate is always watching some trial, so she's always making sure that we know what's going on. And I did hear about this, but I just kind of forgot, got mired up into my own stuff. So when we started talking about covering this for the live, then I really got involved in it and watched the verdict and everything. And then I was just like, oh, this woman, you know what I mean? So Kate always gets us sucked in, but
this was actually one of the ones that seen so many things on YouTube about it, but I never really deep dive into it because I was so into the Karen Reed case and other trials that were happening. And then finally I was like, I gotta, jump into this one. And I jumped in probably a month before trial, and then I was sucked in as soon as the trial started. The trial was really good.
Well, when you mentioned it, I just couldn't believe how many red flags there were, and he never really did anything about it. That just really surprised me, and I just kept having to read more.
Yep. Yeah. It was pretty, like, there was definitely a lot of red flags, which we'll actually start getting to now, Carrie, if you want to start talking about the next part. I can't hear.
I can't hear you, Carrie.
Don't worry, I'll do it. Behind the scenes, things were unraveling. Kouri had suspected Eric was having an affair with a woman at work. This is probably like 2019 ish. Friends had stated that it was more of like a work wife situation with no evidence of anything physical or sexual happening. But Kouri ended up kicking Eric out of the home for some time. And Kouri was also deep, deep in debt, um, overspending, and she was unhappy in her marriage. And around 2020, she began to have a lover on the side, Robert Josh Grossman, and was eyeing a fresh start with her new boyfriend. Text and testimony painted a picture of financial strain, life insurance policies on Eric worth millions, estate planning discussions, and even talks of divorce. And interestingly enough, I believe around 2020, they both had independently gone to divorce lawyers without each other knowing. So Kouri's lover worked on houses that Kouri bought for her real estate business. He was like a handyman. Um, she helped fund his lifestyle, I guess you would say. She let him reside in a home that she was flipping, and she even bought him 2 trucks. So, and she would give him money often for things. And a big turning point came in early 2022 on Valentine's Day, February 14th. Eric fell ill after eating a sandwich that Kouri had prepared for him. He broke out in hives. He had trouble breathing, and he blacked out and later told his close friends that he actually believed that his wife tried to poison him. And his one friend, I believe, testified that he sounded very serious when he told him. And then, like, her friend, when she testified, said it was kind of like a joke between the family. Like, oh, haha, Kouri tried to poison me. But, like, she never heard it being said seriously. But it came up several times in the trial of whether could this have been just an allergic reaction, or, you know, could it have been a poisoning attempt? Does anybody think it could have been an allergic reaction? Yeah, I personally don't think that, and later when I talk about trial key points, it makes more sense. But like Kouri, I'll read it later so I don't spoil it. But like I said, unbeknownst to Kouri, at some point, likely when they both met with divorce lawyers separately, Eric made some serious legal decisions and took Kouri out of his will and created an estate with his sister in charge for his children. So Kouri, and she had no idea that he had taken her out of the will. And a lot of, like, people argued, like, was it wrong that he took her out of the will? But if he really, I think this happened even before that she poisoned him. But in my opinion, like, if you're seeing red weird flags from her, it's not. It was a good idea in his part, and I feel like he had some like forethought to something bad happening, which made him do that, and maybe he felt like because of her spending, maybe that she was kind of overspending their money.
Well,
and maybe,
I had read that Eric had caught her trying to switch one of his insurance policies that he had with one of his business partners, and he got flagged of it. The insurance company flagged him, and he took her off. And yeah,
I know, like they said she had some like there was like a sorry, I have a parrot and he is ripping his beak on the back of so she got like an insurance thing sent in the mail, and apparently they're saying that she forged his signature, and I believe that there is a trial coming up for
there is, because
insurance.
there were six insurance policies on him. He only knew about two.
Yep, which is crazy. They haven't even gotten. I mean, they did. They haven't even gotten to the insurance fraud yet.
I don't think it's just that. I think there's a couple things. She has a case based on forging checks. There's also a case that she's fighting with his family over property. I mean, she's in some tough situation. She's facing 26 other allegations since the charging of the murder.
There's a lot of charges. I think I even have them listed here somewhere. So, all right, sorry about that.
Wow.
So Kouri was obviously unaware, still believing if anything happened to Eric that she would get his money. And Eric luckily survived that incident, but prosecutors now charge it as attempted murder. So they even gave her an attempted murder incident, which they do have evidence of.
I'd like to just say that if he, if he thought, like you said, with the red flags, and if he really thought she was, she was poisoning him, that it was super smart of him to ensure his kid's future and prevent her from capitalizing on his death. So I, for one, think if you think that's a possibility and you change your will to protect your children, I have no issue with that.
Yeah, I agree. Yep. I mean, she, at the time of Eric's death, she was like $1.6 million in debt already. So, I mean, it was smart on his part. Could you like imagine just like how stupid she could have been with the money that would put away for his children? So I just think it was extremely smart to put it in his sister's name. So let's go into the night in question. On March 4th, 2022, Eric was found dead in their Kamas home. The official cause, a lethal fentanyl overdose. Tests showed about 15 nanograms per milliliter in his blood, roughly 5 times the fatal level. Prosecutors say Kouri slipped the drug into a Moscow Mule cocktail that she made for him. She made him a drink to celebrate the closing of a house that she was trying to buy called the Midway Mansion, which was like a very notable point in the trial. There it is.
Whoa, that is huge. I didn't see that picture before. Wow.
She, I believe, closed on that home either like the day of or the day, I think it was the day after he died. But they were celebrating that night, and she made him a drink to celebrate it. And Kouri claims that Eric took some THC gummies, which was common, a common thing for him to do apparently she said there's no fentanyl prescription in the home and no drug use by Eric. I do believe they found like an empty hydrocodone bottle from like years back. So, I mean, they argued like, could the CBD gummies be tainted? Could it be possible Eric had a drug problem? There's a thing later on that I'll bring up. I'm sorry.
That's Shorty, everyone.
That's my bird. I knew it was coming. Hold on, I'll bring him around so you can say hello.
Aw.
Will you be good for a couple minutes so I can finish what I'm doing? Yeah? Okay. Alright, so, a lot of people suspected that maybe the CBD gummies could have been tainted, or could it be possible that Eric had a drug problem? There was a letter that Kouri had. You're going to distract me. Okay. A letter that she wrote to send to her mother while she was in jail, called the Walk the Dog letter, which I will talk about later. But she talks about that he would hide fentanyl pills in an allergy bottle, which they never found, and I don't believe they ever really looked for. And then, so there's a lot of question whether or not did Eric have a drug problem, or was it a once in a while thing? In the trial, the defense tried to make it like he did, but they didn't really have, like, even when they did the autopsy, I believe there wasn't really evidence of him having like a drug problem or anything like that besides. So there was another testimony that was a pretty big deal, though, that one of her friends testified that when they went on vacation together, that she was angry at Eric for hiding drugs in her luggage. Now, I don't know if that was as simple as like weed or THC gummies or something more serious, but there was testimony as to that happening. But
well, the thing that I find interesting, because she brings up that drink that he had, that alcoholic beverage, and that celebration, but in the testimony, she ended up going with her child and fall asleep in the room. What kind of celebration is that? It's like she made a drink for him and then went and was with her kids until a couple hours later, where he is unresponsive.
yeah, and then she said her son was having night terrors or something like that, so she goes
Yes.
and sleeps in the bed with her son, and then she gets back in bed in the middle of the night and she goes to like kiss Eric goodnight or something, and she finds him like white or pale, and obviously not breathing and looks like something's terrible. And that's one thing. But I did find something about the allergy pill bottle, because had they have checked, could have been possible that maybe, he did have a problem. Although I highly doubt that he would have ever taken 5 times the fatal level of fentanyl himself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't see that happening. But, and so Kouri was dating her side piece at this time, and they ended up staying together for a couple months. But after the death of Eric, according to Grossman, they broke up not long after. They just said he said that things had changed after Eric passed. And sometime after, a PI was hired by Eric's family. It interviewed Grossman and told him that Kouri had killed Eric, and Grossman was like in disbelief. he then questioned everything about their relationship. So what was interesting at trial too is when they had the PI on the stand, he almost seemed to know like more than the lawyers and law enforcement. Like he was so knowledgeable about the case. I was actually like so impressed by the PI because he just knew so much information, and he was just excellent. And Kouri had a lot of friends. She told a lot of friends that she felt trapped in the marriage. She told friends she was afraid to get a divorce because Eric would obviously be secure financially and she would be the opposite. Although, I don't know that, like, I know they had a prenup, but I highly doubt if they did divorce that she would be left with nothing because it seems like while they were married, he made a lot of money, and I would imagine after they're married, it's a different story. At least that's what I would think. You know, like when you make the money together, then you're entitled to some. So I don't, unless there was terms in the prenup that I don't know about, but in her mind, she felt like she would be left with nothing and he would have everything. So,
well, she was so far into debt with her flipping business too. So of course she'd have nothing. She's, you know,
$1.6 million. Like that's like that's so much money. That would be hard to like get out from. So how she really got there is, where was I? So at some point she took out a home equity line of credit for $250,000 in Eric's name, and that's what she used to start her business, where she would like flip houses. But the problem was she would spend more money on like flipping the houses and everything that she didn't make any money on them. She didn't make any money on them. She actually like lost money on a lot of them. So lots of money. So that's why she ended up being 1.6 million in debt. She took out many loans to do her business, and she was thousands and thousands of dollars in debt weekly. Literally, she was paying thousands of dollars in debt. At the time of Eric's death, like I said, she was $1.6 million in debt. And
so I actually read like the day that he had died, her account was drawn like over 22,000, and the amount of fees that she was paying per day, she just couldn't crawl out of it. And I know at one point she had used one of his credit cards without him knowing, and when he found out, which blows my mind because it wasn't like one purchase, it was a couple, but it was like over $30,000. How don't you notice that? That must be like a rich person problem because I noticed $5.
right.
30,000? I'm not, yeah, 30,000. So I find it crazy.
That comes out
Yeah,
of my account. But I
exactly.
rely on every little penny in my account. I don't know. Maybe if you have a lot of money, maybe you don't like count every dollar like I do. But still, $22,000 is a big chunk of money to.
It is. And like she had promised to pay him back, but I mean, she was paying so many people back. How could she even keep up?
She even had a friend that, so her friend needed a home, and she took a loan out for her friend, and the friend was paying her monthly for the loan, and she ended up losing the house for her because when Eric died, and I believe because everything was in Eric's name, like she lost it, and the woman literally lost her home and like had already paid her so much money, which is crazy. Like $220 something thousand dollars or something crazy like that. This poor woman had lost. It was a lot of money. I would be absolutely devastated if I bought a home and then literally just lost it because of her. Because everything, like she did everything through Eric's name, so it fell back on her. But yeah, and then not only that, she's spending money on her boyfriend. She bought him 2 trucks. She was letting him live in a house and like funding his life. You know what I mean? It was crazy. But so what happened next shocked everyone, but just weeks after Eric's death, Kouri wrote and published a children's book called something along the lines of helping kids cope. There it is. Helping kids cope with losing a parent, framed as a way to support her sons in their grief of their dad dying. She appeared on local news and podcasts discussing grief, like while under investigation, mind you. And the book became a very key point of outrage when she was arrested in May 2023. And what's crazy too is she had a ghostwriter write it. So I don't know, like, does that take away like the sentimental value of it if like you're writing it for your kids and you know you give it to a ghostwriter like to write for you? I just think, I don't know, like it takes away the whole point of the story, I guess.
Yeah, I see your point with that. But if she's not a writer, like I know, like I legit could not go write a book and make it sound like anything worth reading. You know what I mean? Like I would definitely need somebody to, to polish that up. So, a lot of people use them, but yeah, to your point, this is supposed to be her personal experience and her kids' personal experience. So it should be your word.
I mean, I don't know. I might be able to write a children's book. Like, I might be able to handle that. But I definitely wouldn't be able to write like a full book of my own. But
Yeah.
I can understand that part definitely. Hold on 1 second. I was putting my bird on his cage.
I don't know. I feel like she was just trying to honestly find a way to get money and using
Yeah.
people's sympathies and good nature and like
Yep.
people that wanted to help. I
Yep.
think she is like a monster. She's a black hole and she uses people. Absolutely monster manipulator.
Yeah, I agree.
Last ditch. Like, I know I don't have money because my husband didn't leave anything for me. So let me write this book to try and make as much as I can out of the situation. Like that's the feel I get from it, I guess, while still trying. And I guess also in the same time, look like an innocent grieving widow, you know, make money and look like an innocent grieving widow at the same time. I mean, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, I guess you would call it. To make things even more bizarre, Kouri's mother, whom she has a very close relationship with. This is like so crazy to me. This is probably the craziest part of the whole story for me. I just thought, like, what are the odds? But to make things even more bizarre, Kouri's mother, whom she has a very close relationship with, was investigated for the death of a partner under similar circumstances in 2006. Kouri's mother's live-in partner died of a hydrocodone overdose while she was investigated. She was never convicted of any crimes. But do you guys think that maybe she had either conspired with her mom or like got the idea from it? Because I don't know, that's the vibe I get, is like maybe that's where the idea came into her head from what her mother went through.
Yeah, and her mother, if she was culpable, she got away with it. So she was probably thinking, oh, if she did it and wasn't charged, I won't be either.
Yeah, I definitely got that from her too.
Well, sometimes something that I think is like, I mean, I never had that relationship, but sometimes I feel like daughters are really close with their moms, usually. And she could just be like venting. Her mom was, and if her mom really did it, she could have been like, well, I have the solution for you, kind of
Yeah,
thing. You want to help your daughter. I mean, I would not want to help my son commit murder, but some people, maybe if she feels like she has to save her, maybe she was painting a different story at home that she needed to be saved, or there was no other options, maybe.
sure.
Yeah, or worried that your daughter is gonna be left with nothing, and if they get a divorce, and thinking about her finances or how she's gonna survive, maybe she was like, look, here is another way that you can do this and not go to jail, maybe. But if she did give her the advice, it wasn't good advice, in my opinion. So Kouri had a total of around 35 charges across cases: aggravated murder for Eric's death, attempted aggravated murder, the Valentine's incident, insurance fraud, allegedly trying to collect on policies, forgery, and a lot more. She was found guilty on all counts related to the death of Eric. She still is yet to face the charges of the, the insurance fraud and everything, but she's being sentenced on May 13th, which is Eric's birthday, ironically, which feels like some kind of divine intervention for me. Like, what are the odds that his sentencing falls on his birthday? But that's when she gets sentenced, on May 13th. So she pleaded not guilty to everything, and in trial, her defense argued the evidence was largely circumstantial, that key witnesses had inconsistencies or changes in their stories, and that Eric's death could have other explanations, like, that he had a drug problem, or that he took tainted pills, even though the forensics strongly pointed to poisoning. They also argued that the prosecution had no way to prove how the fentanyl entered Eric Richins' body, which I feel like that was like a big part of the trial, which I even like questioned it a lot. Like, how are they going to prove this? There was even parts where I was like, maybe she didn't do this and he had a drug problem. Like, I was even questioning at some point, but there was actually some evidence that ended up coming out that was pretty crazy. So there was a guy who there's this, okay, it's called the Walk the Dog letter, which is like a letter that Kouri wrote to her mother, telling her, like, hey, there it is. She was like, tell my lawyer Eric approached this guy and he would get pills off of him, and he would hide the pills in an allergy pill bottle in his truck. And everyone kind of thought that, like, she made up this, like, fake testimony. So they found it in her cell, in a book, like in between pages of a book that come on, in between pages of a book that they found, like it's a law book in her cell, and it was a letter to her brother to tell her mother, this is who you need to talk to, and blah blah blah. So everyone thought that she had completely made this up to, like, tell them to lie, to testify and say this stuff. But it actually came out that some of it might have been true. There was a guy, I can't remember his name, but he he was willing to testify that Eric had bought fentanyl off him before. And here, that guy died. So, because he died, they couldn't, in trial, say, well, not because of this. There was another guy who died too, which I'll explain. But basically, because he died, he couldn't testify that Eric bought fentanyl from him. So it wasn't allowed in trial because it would be hearsay. Okay. And then there was another guy who was on a jail call that was talking to a friend of his. They were talking about buying an Xbox controller. And the guy was a friend of Carmen Lauber, who I'm going to put him on this cage, but I'll keep talking. So the guy was a friend of Carmen Lauber. She was a housekeeper for Kouri Richins, and she was the woman who Kouri bought pills from several times, which I'll talk about her in a minute. But this guy worked with Carmen Lauber, and they were in a jail call, and they were talking about buying an Xbox controller. And he said, well, she can buy it with the fentanyl money. And this was like a huge thing because had he been able to testify, they could have said that Kouri bought fentanyl from Carmen Lauber, and it was said, and the guy would have testified to it, but he died. So what happened was, in the whole trial, all they could say was that Kouri bought illicit street drugs, because it would be hearsay to say fentanyl, which made such a huge difference because nobody knew. You couldn't correlate fentanyl. I mean, you could, but it wasn't like for sure in writing it was definitely fentanyl because they had to say illicit street drugs or whatever. And I feel like it was huge evidence. Shorty, please. Spray. Let's see if he stops. Stopping. So anyway, it was a huge deal because the fentanyl, it could have been totally proven had the prosecution been able to bring this guy out and say, Carmen told me that she had bought fentanyl. And on the other side, it could have been proven by the defense that Eric had bought fentanyl from somebody. So it would have been like a huge case breaker on both ends. But because both guys had died, they couldn't enter it into trial. So it was like a lot of evidence that just went, out the window. But anyway, the trial kicked off. Shorty, please. One second. The trial kicked off in February 2026 at the Summit County Courthouse in Colville Park City area and ran for several weeks. Key witnesses were Eric's family members, friends who heard Eric's poisoning fears, a PI hired by Eric's family, Kouri's boyfriend, who testified that Kouri once asked if he ever killed somebody, her former best friend, Chelsea. She was the one who had the house that got taken away from her, unfortunately. Neighbors and financial experts reviewing insurance policies, estates, and Kouri spending. A toxicologist from NMS Labs confirmed massive fentanyl level to 5 times lethal and ruled out by accidental exposure because we know they ruled that he had ingested it. So he had either taken it himself or, was given to him in a drink, like they claim. Opening statements painted stark contrast. Prosecutors called Kouri money hungry, highlighting texts about wanting a new life. Her relief in messages after autopsy was final effort, she said. And a shocking detail, she reported 9 million home the day was the Midway Mansion. How did she do that with 1.6 million in debt? Well, it was the house that it was before Eric died, so she had already been in the process of doing it, which is why she was able to do it. And it was the Midway Mansion was the home they were celebrating on her closing the night of his death.
So Kate, they were planning on flipping that, right? Or she was planning on flipping that?
They were planning on buying it and flipping it. She did actually, I think at some point try and sell it for like 4.5 million after she did renovations to it or something like that, but they were absolutely trying to flip it, yes.
So that might have been probably thought that was her ticket to get out of all that massive debt.
Yeah, I think that's why she felt so comfortable about poisoning him that night, because it's like, hey, I know I'm closing on this huge house. She could sell it, worst case. So I think that was what was going through her mind. Absolutely, it's an interesting day to pick to poison your husband, I guess.
Yeah.
So Carmen Lauber, this is the lady I was just talking about. She was Kouri Richins' housekeeper. She testified that Kouri bought illicit street drugs from her in early 2022. So like I said, they could not use the word fentanyl in court because the person who they had who was able to testify that it was fentanyl died. And she, in her interview to police, kept saying, "Oh no, I would never sell fentanyl. My daughter OD'd from fentanyl." So it was kind of complicated when they played her interview. She eventually admitted that Kouri bought drugs from her 3 times or whatever, but she did it to get out of trouble, which was like, there's a lot of questions about the validity of her story. So, like I said, due to evidence restrictions, they weren't allowed to talking about the evidence. They had to say illicit drugs in front of the jury. When Kouri asked Carmen to get her $600 in street drugs before Valentine's Day. So we have her going, like days before Valentine's Day, she went to Carmen and said, "Hey, I need $600 in drugs for an investor." And then so she went to her for drugs, and then days before Valentine's Day, she asked, so she went to her for drugs, said it was for an investor, and then a couple days before, sorry, I said this wrong. Then a couple days before Valentine's Day, she asked for more drugs, but she asked for stronger ones, and she specifically says the Michael Jackson stuff, which Michael Jackson stuff wasn't fentanyl. I can't remember.
That was propofol or something like that.
It was propofol, but I mean, in her mind, I think she just wanted something stronger.
Right.
So she asked for Michael Jackson stuff a couple days before Valentine's Day, and then she pays $1,000 for it this time. And then there was a third time that she asked for it for drugs, and that was shortly before the day Eric died. So she went 3 different times buying more drugs, and every time she bought drugs, they were conveniently like close to significant moments, like the sandwich poisoning and him dying.
Yeah, how's she paying for these drugs with all her debt?
I don't know, Eric's, but I mean, like, I'm sure she used Eric's money a lot, or she took out lots of loans too. Like, she just kept taking out loans to pay for things. So I don't know if all the loans were all in Eric's name, or if by that point, because she had already started her business, maybe she was taking out loans in her own name by then. But they did have a financial like expert, or what do you call it, like somebody who delves into her financials. I didn't watch all of that testimony, but he like thorough investigation.
Yeah, I just don't know who in their right mind's giving this woman loans when they could clearly see how much debt she was in, right? They had to look that
Well, I
all up.
guess she, between like her and her husband, she probably had a lot of like assets, or she had houses that she bought. So you have, you could say, oh, I have these houses and this property as a
Right, right. As collateral,
as
right?
Yeah.
collateral. Yeah, I guess. I don't,
I mean, here's a picture of her house. I mean, that's nothing to shake a stick at. You know what I mean? That looks
definitely
like a
not
really
the
nice
midway,
house.
not
Does
the
look like a
midway,
nice house.
but it's nice for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Midway Mansion was like, holy
Oh,
moly, that thing was
that's
huge.
that's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
that's insane.
I'm
It looks like a whole housing development got smashed all together.
You need to stretch before you walk from one end to the other.
You're right.
Huge.
Another thing that I was kind of surprised on, why do you have a cleaning lady that could be someone that you could go and get drugs from? I feel like I wouldn't trust somebody if I thought that they were capable of giving me drugs to let them in my house. I feel like
Right.
that's just weird.
It
It
seems
is.
like a lot of people that she had employed were a little shifty. Like they all kind of like hung out together, like Carmen and like other people, like handymans and stuff that she used. So I don't know. They all like there was a lot of shifty people that she dealt with. It seemed like. So Carmen was basically the huge witness in the case, pinned down that Kouri had bought illicit street drugs, but like I said, they couldn't say fentanyl because the guy who could confirm that it was fentanyl died, and the guy who also could confirm that Eric was buying fentanyl for himself died. So neither one could be used as evidence. So it was like, imagine a jury not knowing that, because the jury doesn't know what gets decided behind the scenes. They don't know what evidence comes in and what evidence doesn't. So as a jury, you're just hearing illicit street drugs, but you're not hearing the word fentanyl. So it's like, could they prove that, she got fentanyl by what they said, which I think the jury called. So
Yeah,
Jim,
that's not really fair. They need to have all that information, and maybe they're thinking it's like heroin or something like that. But
yeah,
fentanyl is so much more potent than that.
yeah, but like the problem is the people who could testify that it was officially that, they were dead, and that would be
Right.
hearsay. So it was like, if you can't have them say it, they can't use it, I guess.
Mhm.
So, and tactics in court. One recent recording involved her divorce attorney's discussions with heated objections from the defense over admissibility. She texted her lover things like, if he could just go away, you could be here. Life would be so perfect. I love you. We also found out about some interesting Google searches that Kouri made.
Why people do this is beyond me. So incriminating. See, Shorty agrees. It is silly.
He's laughing over it. How do you not, like, I just,
Mhm.
that blows my mind when people Google this stuff. Like, how do you not know in 2026 that,
Right.
like, all your Google searches can be tracked? But
Yeah.
it's always the best part of court for me. I just love seeing
Yes.
that.
It is fun. It's always entertaining.
Those things people search.
Yeah.
So here's some of the Google searches: luxury prisons for the rich.
Oh,
That's one.
she's gonna be bougie.
Elevated sense of self too. Like she's
Right?
going to a luxury prison.
Luxury prison.
Well, if I'm
What,
going to
she's
prison,
gonna,
it better be
have, like,
luxury.
a sauna in her
Get
damn,
out.
like,
Oh
what
my God.
luxury prison for the rich? Like,
That's great.
can police see deleted text messages? Can cause of death be changed on a death certificate? Which I assume she was looking up because that's a big deal when you're trying to get an insurance policy, and if it
Yeah.
has not the right cause of death on there, it's not helpful. Can cops force you to take a lie detector test?
Oh my
And she also accessed articles, titles, signs of being under a federal investigation, and delay in claim payment of death certificate with pending cause of death. And just when you think this woman can't get any dumber, she also Googled what kind of doctor was Dr. Pepper.
Stop. What? She just wanted to throw the police off there,
Yeah.
And then she also Googled what is a lethal dose of fentanyl, which I think is very extremely damning if you are under investigation for poisoning your husband with fentanyl. And Kouri Richins, net worth, a pro net worth. And if someone is poisoned, what does it go down on the death certificate as?
Oh, Lord.
The defense pushed back hard, cross-examining and on witness credibility, arguing no direct proof that she obtained or bought fentanyl, and that it was a lot of speculation. They say Kouri was a grieving mother who just wanted to get back to her kids. A pivotal moment. Oh, this is what I talked about earlier about the two guys who died. That was a pivotal moment because the defense wanted to question the detective if they had ever tracked down the lead of the guy who tried to buy fentanyl from Eric. And they weren't allowed to ask this guy this because then it opened the door for basically, if they asked him about that guy, which it wasn't allowed in trial, then it opened the door for the prosecution to bring up, okay, well, if you're going to say that, then we can bring up the guy who was talking on the phone to his friend who said, oh, well, Carmen can buy us that Xbox controller with the fentanyl she sold Kouri. Like, that's what they said on the jail call. So the prosecution was like, all right, well, if you want to bring that up, then we'll bring this up, and then we can open the door for the fentanyl. And then in the end, the defense team decided not to do that because it would have been bad for them. So they passed on that. But to get a little into the walk the dog letter, which I mentioned before, the walk the dog letter was like huge. It came out in the news before the trial even started, and like I said, everyone thought it was her writing a script to have her brother. I think it says it on here. It outlines a scripted narrative for her brother to relay in person, not by phone or text, due to fears of monitoring, to her attorney, Sky, for a meeting. She said in the letter, about a year before Eric's death, during a Sunday football watching visit, Eric allegedly confided in Ronnie that he obtained pain pills and fentanyl from workers at a ranch in Mexico during hunting trips. Eric was a big hunter. I believe he was even like a big game hunter. Like, he went all over the world.
Wow.
And Eric supposedly kept them hidden, the pills, in an allergy bottle pill in his work truck so Kouri wouldn't find them. And he asked Ronnie not to tell her because she would get mad. And he thought he just got high every night instead of helping with the kids. So he didn't apparently want Kouri to know. Eric never wanted anyone to know about his issue, especially to avoid getting caught. And he always wanted Kouri to go down for him. Eric allegedly hid drugs in Kouri's luggage at the airports before flights, so she'd take the fall if discovered. This was like the big thing that they testified to. I believe she mentioned this in the letter as well. And then he retrieved them afterwards, leading to a big fight between them, and he'd laugh it off while she got angry. Kouri has never taken any type of pills and didn't like them. She said Ronnie should reword as needed, but include it all to connect Eric strongly to Mexico and the drugs. He could reference text messages from Eric about getting high and photos of Eric passed out. The connection to Mexico and drugs has to be made. Ronnie would probably have to testify, but keep it short. What's crazy is everyone thought this letter was completely made up by Kouri as like, tell my mom to say this or lie or whatever. But everybody ended up finding out, which like it only came out because of this them trying to open the door for it. But everyone then found out that it was somewhat true, and the guy who was going to testify was a real guy. He had just died, and it couldn't be included in the trial. So that was pretty crazy because like everyone by the end of the trial was like, oh my gosh, the walk the dog letter might have been real. Like there was actually real people in it. Everyone thought she looked so much more sinister because everyone thought she made up this like whole thing as like a fake thing for them to testify to, when really the guy actually was real and he had died and he couldn't be included in part of the trial. But yeah, it's a case that hits hard. She was found guilty of everything related to Eric's murder, and now there's 3 boys without a dad. A book meant to heal, part of the prosecution's narrative of motive and deception, whether it's cold. The jury decided that it was definitely calculation, and for a very long time. Does anyone Utah does the death penalty? I don't remember seeing anything on that.
Not sure. Did anyone look up her book and see the reviews on it?
No.
I did.
No.
I just was curious.
Saw the picture of it, but I never looked up the actual.
Yeah, some of the reviews are hysterical. It gets like 1.2 stars or something, and people are just ruthless on there. Like some of the comments are just off the chart, like obviously sarcastic and things like that. But the comments, because of now what's going on. But I just found the whole children's book thing rather disturbing.
Especially knowing that, she is likely responsible for their father's death, and she just used them as pawns to make money.
Yeah. I mean, do we know if she actually was like somewhat of a good mom, or is there nothing really on that?
I honestly, I don't know. So Eric's sister testified that she kept telling her, the kids, the night Eric died, that the police came in and there was all this stuff going on and the kids were awake and knew something crazy was going on, but she took forever to tell them, and they were like, you need to tell the kids, and she wouldn't tell them. But I mean, besides that and her spending, I didn't really hear anything about her not being a good mom or not
I'm just thinking she probably wasn't around too much, right?
I don't know, because he was pretty busy too. He went hunting all the time, so I don't know how they split their time or what, but he was a big game hunter and went hunting all around the world all the time. And he was I think he started as a masonry.
Yeah, I remember reading that, right.
In masonry, and then became a big contractor. I don't know exactly how they split the time or did their thing, but I feel like she was probably around more than he was.
Or maybe they had some nannies or something. I don't know. If they had a housekeeper.
I mean, Eric was worth a lot of money, a couple million. He was definitely.
Just want some attention and love.
Yeah. And Kate, Utah does have the death penalty
I
still.
was trying to look it up, but
Yeah. But it's, it's rare in its practice, it says. So,
Yeah, and you would think for a woman, I don't know. I feel like people aren't as likely to sentence a woman to death, but I don't know.
I don't think they will. Like, I don't think they'll give her the death.
probably not. It seems like most states don't impose it anymore. And if they do, it ends up being, overturned at some point or commuted to life with no parole. So
They'll just sit on death row forever and die
Yeah.
in prison. Yeah.
yeah,
In her luxury prison.
Right.
luxury prison for rich people.
Rich people prison.
Weirdos.
Wow.
who,
I hope I don't go to prison. I'm not going to rich people prison.
I'm just like dying to know what prison she thought that,
Right?
had
Club
all
fed.
these things. Yeah, like
Well, like there's the people in California that were like fraudulently getting their they were like celebs getting their children into colleges and stuff
Oh
by
yeah,
lying.
yeah,
Didn't they go to like, luxury prison?
yeah.
like
Minimum
Martha
security.
yeah, yeah.
gets these
Uh-huh.
luxury prisons.
Like a hotel.
No, the best one was what the Dr. Pepper one. What was it?
He was a doctor, right?
Was Dr.
Was-
Pepper a real doctor or something? What was it?
I think he was. I think that
I think
wasn't
so.
that. I think that's the first soda that was ever created, and that it was supposed to be medicinal, right? I remember reading that.
I love how that had like absolutely nothing to do with the death of Eric, but they made sure to include it.
Yeah, I mean, like she's just trying to throw them off their game there.
Yeah, it's like it's just a crazy case to me because there's just.
Oh yeah, he was a pharmacist. Dr. Pepper was a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Oh really? And it was
Yeah.
medicinal? Like it was actually medicinal?
That's what I'm looking right now. Created in the 1880s by an American pharmacist, Charles Alderton. So I don't know how he becomes Dr. Pepper. He just liked the name. I don't know.
I'm gonna turn my
Oh.
camera off real quick so I can wrangle this
Mhm.
vulture. I apologize for my parrot. He's been an absolute brat because he's not getting attention. Tell them
He's so cute.
now
I love that.
everybody could put a face to the name, right?
If you hear any weird sounds in our recordings or anything like that, it's him. It's this one.
Yeah.
If he doesn't get attention for more than like 5 minutes, he decides to scream or yell mama. So,
Oh, Dr. Pepper was made to be a medicinal recipe for digestive aid.
The more you know.
I know. I
Really?
love all that stuff. I love looking things up. The best is today. I was substitute teaching for high school level children, and the one student was telling me something that she had found, and I'm like, "Where did you find that? Like, what was your source?" She's like, "Well, it was Google AI." I'm like, "Yeah, not a reputable source, hon. We need a better source than that."
Yes.
I fear our future.
That's too funny.
Mhm.
well, that's all I have for the case, but
And that was a lot, Kate. That's amazing. Really a lot.
That was really great.
yeah, it was a great case. I guess we'll have to do like a follow-up one for the sentencing. We'll have to
Sure.
Yeah.
follow-up episode so we can guys in.
Yeah, hopefully we get some feedback and see if people actually enjoy seeing our faces. I don't know. If you'd like us to do it live again, let us know.
Did you
This
let
is
them know
fun.
why we did the live? Did you happen to preface that before we started?
I don't know if we said.
I think Kate said in the beginning,
you?
right? When she said it was our live episode.
I just like what's our 200th episode?
It's 200.
I don't think
On our
it's-
regular feed.
Yep.
That's awesome. Feel like we're like at a radio station, like DJs. You know, all the fun sound.
I could go nuts with these effects.
I know. Yeah, I'm glad I don't have access. It might get me.
You guys aren't going to believe this. He's going to sleep now.
He's going to sleep?
I knew this was going to happen.
That's great.
Oh,
But yeah, if everyone likes live, let us know. If you want it done again, maybe we could try to do one every other month or something. But we'll look at the feedback, see how it does.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll be down to do more.
yeah, it only
Yeah,
took
this
me
was fun.
3/4 of the way to get my volume to figure that out. But hey, you know,
I know. I was like, you started talking, I just like didn't hear anything.
sorry,
I'm just
I
kidding.
I had it all figured out.
It's
And then
alright.
I'm like,
always
what?
like- it never goes well the first live ever. Like it never goes.
Yeah, sorry.
It never does. But you know, it's our first time diving in and learning everything as a group. So
Yeah, I searched the help desk and was able to figure it out. You know, it only took like 40 minutes. Yeah, I'm not too techie over here. The other day, like, why isn't my computer charging? My husband comes over. He's like, how are you charging this? This is your headphones are plugged into the charging port. Like, oh, okay, that could be why it's not charging. Oh my gosh.
I once me and Dave, we were gaming, and like I didn't realize that with headphones you have to wear them like whatever is the left ear and whatever is the right ear, especially when gaming, because like when you
It
hear
matters.
footsteps, they come in different ears. Like if someone's on your right, it comes
Oh.
on your right. If someone's on your left, it comes in your left. And I literally was like telling him the entire game, like I hear somebody on the left, but I had them on backwards and they were on the opposite side. And he's like, "What are you talking about? I'm hearing something completely different than you are." And he's like, "Your headphones on backwards," and I'm like, "Oh my god, I didn't."
I wouldn't have known that, and I would have totally done the same thing. Yeah.
I just thought like you hear it in both ears. I didn't realize that it was like I don't listen that hard. I mean, he games a lot, so like you know he pays attention to that stuff. But me, I just hear footsteps. I'm like, oh, I hear footsteps. You know, I don't really pay attention. Like wherever you're saying they're coming from the opposite side.
That's so funny.
But I mean, other than that, I'm not like I'm pretty techie, but I'm not like really good techie. But you know, we'll figure it out.
We're all
Yeah, next
gonna
time
learn with this.
Yep. Next time will be better. One step at a time.
Absolutely.
I can't promise the bird will be better, but next time
Well,
I'll try and give
That's okay. We wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, I don't mind his commentary.
I'll try and give him the calming tea ahead of time and see if I
Oh,
can.
calming tea. Just drop a
There's
little
a little-
fentanyl in there. No,
Oh, no.
Or if I can
you know I'm kidding.
eardrums out.
CBD gummy or something. I don't know.
I have CBD, but I'm scared to give it to him because he's.
Yeah, I don't know. Can birds even have CBD? I don't know
I
if I
have
trust
like
that.
pet CBD to give to my dog, but I'm so scared to give it to the bird. Like I don't know what would happen, so
Yeah,
I'm not gonna do it.
I should get that for my dog. God, I hope
I
you
do
didn't
have
hear him.
calming tea. I tried it on my dog, and it doesn't seem like it really made a difference. But maybe I didn't give him enough. But I'll try it again and let you know how it works.
Okay.
I love Carrie's dog, by the way. He's like the cutest beagle ever.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he's got that Beagle Bay.
Yep.
Yes. Got my Beagle cup tonight. Yeah.
Aw.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, she's her beagle cub. How cute
Yeah.
is that?
We
I
love our
have a big
dogs.
pity, but he's not coming in here because he'll come in like a bull.
Probably nice and quiet too. Not like my guy.
Well, that's all I have for tonight. Does anyone share final thoughts before we end it or have anything?
No, you did so good.
Yeah, you
Great
did
job.
so much.
Information. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and
much.
like I said, she did a lot of research on this. So,
Mhm.
and we're going to post this episode as a regular episode. It'll be available on YouTube. It'll be available where we normally put all of our episodes. And then, of course, we'll have all the sources out on our website, kccpod.com.
Perfect.
Hope everyone has a great night.
Good night.
Yeah. Night.
If you want more.
Night. Bye.
Bye.